Because he wasn't incarcerated, she is now dead. His father's now dead. His mother's in a hospital bed.
I hope you ride. I hope you ride in jail for the rest of your life. Do you even have a soul, Jonathan? Do you? Do you know what you killed your own mother?
Good afternoon, and sir, please state your name for the record.
Jonathan Welch.
23-year-old Jonathan Welch sat in a Wayne County jail cell facing 7 felony charges: torture, criminal sexual conduct, and assault with intent to cause serious harm. He'd held his girlfriend hostage for hours, doing things so brutal that prosecutors called it torture. On June 12, 2022, Magistrate Don White set his bond at $100,000 with a 10% cash surety. $10,000. That's what it costs to free a man charged with torture. On July 8th, his mother posted that bond and brought him home. 48 hours later, 4 people were dead, including the mother who bailed him out. How does a magistrate read charges that include the word torture and think $10,000 is appropriate? And why did 4 people end up paying for that decision with their lives? Zlayiah Frazier was 22 years old, one of 7 kids. She ran her own boutique called Snobbish, and she was also in nursing school. She was modeling, she was raising a baby, and somehow she was thriving in it.
Yeah, right on time. Right on time.
Her family said Zlayiah knew how to make people feel important. At Lincoln High in Warren, she was on the homecoming court every year. People were drawn to her, and that's just what happened when you were around Zlayiah. Her mother, Trina Harris, said she was studying to become a nurse, and she had reasons for it. Zlayiah had a brother who'd battled cancer and a sister with cerebral palsy. She'd seen what good care looked like, and she wanted to provide that for other people. In March 2021, Zlayiah gave birth to a baby boy, and if you looked at her Facebook, you'd see the kind of mother she was. She posted pictures of him and wrote captions about him, talking about the life she was building for him. In one post in particular, she wrote to her son, "I don't consider being a mother an easy task, and I don't call nothing that comes within motherhood a sacrifice. Did I take a risk with my life having you? Indeed. But I needed to grow. I needed to look at life different. I needed a bigger passion that life with you couldn't give me. I needed to learn how to love, honor, and respect thy man because of you. I tend to work on myself because of you. I became a better me. Mommy got you past life. And when I clock out, know that I will remain within you. I can't protect you from the evil world, but I can give you all the knowledge I've enhanced. Not only am I grinding through my 20s, I'm also building, and that's not a sacrifice. That's me giving you a life beyond life. Giving you a head start will always be my mission. Just keep Mommy's name alive, baby. You're the firstborn of greatness. Mommy and Daddy building this empire for you. Just make us proud, baby boy. And always come to me no matter the situation. Because this shit, past 18 years, I got you for life." But the man she mentioned in that post, the man she called Daddy, was Jonathan Welch. Jonathan was 23 years old. He and Zlayiah had been together since high school. She was 16 when they started dating, he was 17, and it was 6 years later before their son was born. Listen to how happy they were to have their son.
Man, he get to carry on this greatness.
We have our boy.
He gotta be great. He gotta be great. He gotta be great. He got to. Another victory for Big Dog. Big Dog doing it. Another victory for Dog. Yeah. Yeah.
In October 2020, Zlayiah posted on Facebook celebrating their anniversary. She wrote, "Cheers to the 6th sweetest day we've celebrated, the 6th year we loved, laughed, shared, and known each other. Cheers to growing, teaching, helping, and looking out for each other. We're here, KD, and I can't tell you how thankful I am to be able to grow with such an amazing man. We raised each other, but you taught me the most important thing. You guided me, you led, and I followed. We've accomplished greatness together, bought our first home together which we own, and many other things that's between the two of us. LOL. We cried, we yelled, and we hated, but we never grew apart. We never separated. God blessed me with a great man who leads, and you blessed me with our little man, whom we can soon teach and welcome to greatness. You are our protector. You are the love of my life, and you're already an amazing father. I love you more than anyone can understand my love. Cheers to old memories and many more to come. Someone asked what their secret was. Zlayiah replied, trust, forgiveness, and communication. That anniversary post celebrated 6 years together. By then, Jonathan had already started demanding access to Zlayiah's phone. He'd already started accusing her of cheating, and he'd already put his hands on her. Zlayiah didn't post about that. After their son was born, Jonathan's jealousy got worse. He wanted to control where she went, who she talked to, what she posted online. He wanted to control her. Zlayiah at some point started posting more on social media. Pictures of herself, her boutique, her life, trying to build a brand she was modeling. For a young business owner trying to grow, that online presence seemed necessary. Jonathan saw it differently. He saw men in her comments calling her beautiful. He saw the attention she was getting, and he couldn't handle it. He accused her of wanting that attention, of talking to other men, of cheating. Zlayiah kept telling him there was nothing going on, but it didn't stop the accusations. Jonathan's jealousy was getting worse, and nothing she said was going to fix it. He continued demanding access to her phone, her messages, her DMs, her call log. When Zlayiah refused, the arguments got physical. He would hit her. According to what Zlayiah later told investigators, the violence started sometime after their son was born. Jonathan would hurt her, then apologize. She'd forgive him, and it would happen again. By June 2022, it wasn't just about the phone anymore. Jonathan was controlling where Zlayiah went, who she saw, what she posted, and the violence was escalating. She felt like she had built a home together with him for 6 years, so leaving meant starting over with nothing, so she stayed. Before we continue, please like, comment, and subscribe if you find value in these discussions. On June 2nd, around 3 in the morning, he woke her up demanding that she give him the password to her phone. She refused. Jonathan held Zlayiah in that house from 3 a.m. until she managed to escape around 7:30 that morning. What he did to her during those hours led to 7 felony charges, including torture, criminal sexual conduct, and assault with intent to cause serious harm. Her family would later describe what happened.
That he held her hostage for hours. He beat her. And when he got tired, he rested and beat her some more. What he did, torture. He poured gasoline on her. He wanted to kill her.
According to court documents, Jonathan strangled Zlayiah with an extension cord repeatedly. He'd tighten it until she couldn't breathe, then release it. He did this over and over. Then he poured gasoline on her body, heated a metal spatula on the stove, and burned her arms and legs. He beat her with his belt, threatened her with a power drill, and tried to assault her with a large pole. For 4 hours, Jonathan hurt her, and when he got tired, he'd rest, then start again. Zlayiah got away when Jonathan left the room. She ran out of the house naked to a neighbor's home on the same street. The neighbor, Ruth Tabone, opened the door, saw the extent of Zlayiah's injuries, and immediately called 911.
My sister was fully naked when she ran out the house and ran to a nearby neighbor house to get help.
Jonathan followed her and kicked in Ruth's door, but she was already on the phone with police, so he got back in his car and drove off. When officers arrived and Jonathan was gone, they issued a warrant for his arrest. They located him later that morning around 11:24 a.m. and took him into custody. From her hospital bed, Zlayiah told investigators what happened. Jonathan's obsession with her phone, his jealousy, the violence, and how he'd held her there for hours. Based on Zlayiah's statement and the evidence, prosecutors charged Jonathan with 7 felonies: torture, criminal sexual conduct, assault with intent to cause serious harm, and first-degree home invasion. On June 12, 2022, 10 days after the attack, Jonathan was arraigned. Magistrate Don White set his bond at $100,000 with a 10% cash surety. $10,000 and his family could bring him home. The Wayne County Prosecutor's Office was not happy. They released a statement saying the bond was inappropriate and that they planned to pursue a higher bond once they gathered all the evidence to present to a judge.
It is an understatement to say that it is exceedingly difficult to get appropriate bonds for violent felonies from some of the 36 district court magistrates.
She went on to explain that magistrates have access to detailed reports about the alleged crimes before they set bond. They know what the defendant is accused of. Magistrate Don White knew what Jonathan had done to Zlayiah. The prosecutor's office was planning to contest the bond. They just needed time to build their case and present it properly.
That was given to Mr. Welch for his alleged horrific crime was much higher than we usually get. So we were hopeful that after the presentation of the evidence at the preliminary examination, that would hopefully persuade a judge to actually increase the bond accordingly. It never got to that level, tragically, never got to that preliminary examination.
They didn't get that time. But there was something the prosecutor's office didn't know when they stood in that courtroom arguing for a higher bond. Something the magistrate didn't know when she set that $10,000 amount. Something nobody knew. While Jonathan had been sitting in that jail cell waiting for his arraignment, police had been trying to identify a body.
June 4th, 2022, 10:46 p.m., 2 days after Jonathan's arrest for torturing Zlayiah. 24-year-old Natalia Morse was killed. Blunt force trauma to the head. Her body was left in a field on Lenox Street on Detroit's east side. Her car was stolen, driven to Lapin and Belan streets, and set on fire. June 6th, 2022. Police found Natalia's body. She couldn't be immediately identified. Jonathan Welch had killed someone, and nobody knew. Not the prosecutors arguing for a higher bond, not the magistrate setting that $10,000 amount, not Zlayiah's family watching from the courtroom, and not Zlayiah herself, recovering in the hospital. They were looking at a man charged with torture. They had no idea they were looking at a murderer. Natalia's mother, Chastity Morse, wouldn't know for 9 months. It would take investigators until March 2023 to connect Jonathan to her daughter's death.
Like, you took my daughter, you took somebody I can never get back, somebody I love. So I'm hurt for the rest of my life. The last time I saw her, I hugged her and told her I love her. And my kids was about to graduate, so she was talking about, oh, I'm gonna come down to the graduation. She died the day before her sisters graduated. They had to go across stage the next day knowing their sister died. I told them, do it for your sister. So, they went across stage for her. They did it for her.
Natalia's sister, Aaliyah, would later say,
bond reform definitely needs to become a big major thing, because this happens all the time, So much could have been prevented if they would have really looked at the bigger picture. You're a threat to the community, Did he deserve a bond? No, especially that low. It's absurd.
Investigators never determined how Jonathan knew Natalia. There was no apparent connection between them. No relationship, no history, nothing that made sense. Jonathan had killed a stranger, set her car on fire, and 4 days later tortured his girlfriend for hours. Then he sat in jail, waiting for someone to post his bond. On July 8th, 2022, less than a month after Jonathan's arraignment, his mother, Flossie Bray, posted the $10,000 bond and brought her son home. Flossie was 57, a medical transporter. She lived in Harper Woods with her husband Robert, an Air Force veteran who worked as a licensed practical nurse. Their home was on Kenosha Street, a quiet residential block just outside Detroit. Jonathan was released to that house under GPS monitoring and house arrest.
How do you let somebody out that did that to somebody? How do you let them out?
July 8th, Jonathan walked out of jail. 48 hours later, 3 more people would be gone. July 8th, July 9th. On July 10th, Flossie called Zlayiah. She told her she wanted to see her grandson and asked if Zlayiah could bring him to the house. Now, I am not so sure if Flossie mentioned to Zlayiah that Jonathan would be there, but that evening, Zlayiah got in her car with her son and drove to Kenosha Street. When she arrived, Jonathan was in there. Robert, Flossie's husband was in there. Flossie herself was in there too, and Zlayiah walked into that house. Around 8:14 p.m., Jonathan attacked all three of them. Zlayiah didn't survive, Robert didn't survive, and Flossie was stabbed multiple times, fighting for her life. Flossie got out of the house. She was bleeding badly, barely conscious, but she made it outside and headed down the street. She went to Ruth Tabone's house, the same neighbor who'd helped Zlayiah 5 weeks earlier. Ruth opened the door and saw Flossie, critically injured.
I told her, I was like, what happened? She says, I was stabbed. I'm like, what? So then she started to collapse, so I helped her down, and I had to keep her up, because at that point, I see the knife was still on her back.
Ruth called 911. Police arrived to find Flossie being loaded into an ambulance, the house on fire, and Jonathan barricaded inside, refusing to come out. Fire crews showed up but couldn't get near the house. Jonathan was still in there. They called in SWAT, called in negotiators, shut the street down, and neighbors were told to stay inside. Jonathan wouldn't come out. Before the standoff began, neighbors saw something that would haunt them.
Like, he leaned out the window and dropped the baby on the grass.
Because he was going back in to do stuff?
Yeah, the baby was naked. While the house was on fire. This all was happening while the house was on fire.
Police found Jonathan's 1-year-old son in the backyard. The baby was taken to a nearby hospital. For 7 hours, negotiators tried to talk Jonathan out. Police knew this was bad. Flossie had escaped with stab wounds. The baby had been left outside alone, and there were at least 2 other people still inside that house with Jonathan. Jonathan fired shots at police from inside the home. After he had set the house on fire while he was still inside.
Early the following day, neighbors captured cell phone video of Jonathan finally coming out.
He crawled down the front steps of the house with his hands up and surrendered to officers waiting in the street. Police took him into custody. The standoff was over. Once they could safely enter the house, investigators found Zlayiah Frazier and Robert Bray. Neither had survived. Flossie was in the hospital in critical condition, and Jonathan Welch was transported to the Wayne County Jail, the same jail he'd walked out of just 48 hours earlier. But this time, there would be no bond. Flossie fought for her life for days. Her family hoped she'd survive. She didn't.
The third victim of a tragic family attack in Harper Woods has died tonight.
3 people gone. Jonathan went from 7 felonies to 3 murder charges. On July 13th, 2022, Jonathan was arraigned again, this time before Judge Kenneth King in Wayne County Circuit Court. Judge King reviewed the charges, Jonathan's history, and what had happened 48 hours after his release. He called it the court's worst nightmare.
And although it's far too little, far too late, the court is going to remand the defendant to the custody of the Wayne County Jail. This is the court's worst nightmare, worst possible scenario that could happen, in that a witness has been killed after the defendant was placed on bond.
This time, Judge King denied bond. Jonathan wasn't going anywhere.
He was given a chance with bond at that time and took his freedom as an opportunity to finish the job and kill victim Frazier.
23 years old, a time bomb. Now, I'm not saying that the magistrate or judge could have predicted that, but with the charges and the nature of the charges, it should have been apparent that society needed big protection.
3 people dead in 48 hours, but that wasn't the complete count. 4 people: Natalia Morse, Zlayiah Frazier, Robert Bray Jr., Flossie Nicole Bray. Robert Bray Jr. was 70 years old. He'd served in the Air Force, worked as a licensed practical nurse. He'd just beaten lung cancer. His daughter, Robin Thomas, remembered their last conversation.
4th of July, we FaceTime, and that was after his surgery, and he was looking so good, and he was just moving around, and he was well, and he was happy.
6 days later, he was gone.
He was the kind of man, he didn't argue, he didn't fight, he was just a sweet, kind-hearted man.
Trina Harris lost her daughter. 6 siblings lost their sister. A 1-year-old boy lost his mother before he could remember her. That baby will grow up with no memory of her face, no memory of her holding him. Flossie's family lost her too. Her choices killed 3 people. The memorial service for Zlayiah was held at Warren's Lincoln High School, where she'd graduated just a few years earlier. About 100 people showed up. Family, friends, classmates, community members, everyone wore purple, Zlayiah's favorite color. Her brother, Quaison, spoke. He talked about that karaoke video they'd made together just weeks before she died, one of the last times he saw his sister happy.
When I see you. That's one of the last videos I got with my sister. We did like a karaoke night. There's nothing that can bring my sister back. There's nothing that somebody can say, no apology that's gonna bring my sister back that hurts.
She was a beautiful woman with a beautiful soul, very courageous, very outgoing.
Turnout itself made me like emotional. My sister, just to see that she was this well loved and liked, man. It just means a whole lot to me. There's many people coming out.
They prayed together.
Amen.
And cried together. It's a pain this family doesn't want others to have to go through.
And I want all of y'all young folks to know abuse is not love.
Some people are afraid of being judged and everything, but your loved ones, they're not going to judge you. You know, we're here to help. Everyone's here to help. Everyone wish they could have helped my sister.
The family set up a GoFundMe for Zlayiah's son and funeral expenses. The community donated, but the mourning quickly turned to anger. People wanted answers. How does someone charged with torture get a $10,000 bond? How does that same person walk out of jail and kill 3 people 48 hours later? The community started asking questions about Magistrate Dawn White. Media reached out to her multiple times asking her to explain her bond decision. She never responded. The chief judge at 36th District Court never responded either. No explanation, no accountability, no consequences. Zlayiah's family started speaking out about what they'd missed. Phone passwords, social media jealousy, staying together for 6 years no matter what. Those weren't love. Those were warning signs. Their message to other women:
And I want all of y'all young folks to know abuse is not love.
he demands your phone, he's controlling you, he gets jealous of your success, that turns violent. He hits you once, he'll do it again. Leave. Don't wait for it to get worse. And if someone tells you to give him another chance, they're putting him above your safety. Zlayiah did everything right after June 2nd. She escaped, called police, went to the hospital, told investigators everything, pressed charges, testified. The system was supposed to protect her. November 1st, 2023, more than a year after the murders, Jonathan Welch stood before Wayne Circuit Judge Margaret Van Houten for sentencing. By then, investigators had connected him to Natalia Morse's death. He'd pleaded guilty to all 4 murders. Chastity Morse, Natalia's mother, was there too, still grieving a daughter she'd lost in June 2022, whose killer she didn't know about until March 2023.
She was driven, she was smart, beautiful. I don't know why. You're sick. I hope you ride. I hope you ride in jail for the rest of your life.
Jonathan Welch sat almost expressionless, hearing the absolutely devastating pain the family of the people he murdered cannot escape because of his malicious actions to take the lives of multiple people.
Why? Just why do that to my big sister that I love so much?
You even have a soul, Jonathan? Do you? Do you know what you killed your own mother?
My daughter Zlayiah Frazier lived to tell me the horrible things he did to her. He treated her like she was nothing but trash. 39 days later, my daughter Zlayiah was dead. I tried so hard to keep this monster away from my daughter for years, yet I failed.
It hurts because we let him in, and he took something from us that he can't give back. I worry about his soul.
Judge Van Houten sentenced Jonathan Welch to 45 to 70 years in prison for the murders of Zlayiah, Flossie, and Robert. She sentenced him to 20 to 40 years for the murder of Natalia Morse. The sentences would run concurrently. Our deepest condolences to the friends and families of Natalia Morse, Zlayiah Frazier, Robert Bray Jr., and Flossie Nicole Bray. I hope these stories help you recognize warning signs and encourage you to seek help or offer support before it's too late. I'll see you in the next episode of Crime of Passion. Thank you for watching.